Orlando. There's actually a movies now, or temporarily here, right? Who's gone to it? Oh, you guys, cool. All right, was it good? Yeah, how was the food? Yeah, good stuff? All right, I need to make my way over there because I don't know that we're gonna see these guys over here, but I want you to make some noise because they're about to take the stage, of course, from Clerks, and one of them's from Clerks 2, and we'll see them all again, and Clerks 3. First off, you know him as Elias from Clerks 3. Make some noise for Mr. Trevor Bennett! You know and love him as Dante. Make some noise for Mr. Brian O'Halloran! And certainly, last but not least, you know him as Randall. Make some noise for Mr. Jeff Anderson! All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to Orlando. Hi.
Thanks for having us. It's weird because we were peeking out the curtain there, and seeing this side of the room only. I'm like, wow, that's it's a little light.
12 people here, better than we normally do.
Not knowing how many ballrooms they had taped together here to put this together. So it's good to be here. Thank you, Orlando, for having us. Good to be back. Thank you. It's always good, you know, you're at a fancy show when they have the sign language interpreter as well. It's always fun to have the sign language interpreters here.
Give it up for them. That's
give a round of applause for the sign language. No. Did anyone see the Oscar?
Yeah. So.
Otherwise, it'll happen again. Someone gets slapped for saying something in their mouth. So you don't want to make sure you do it right.
I feel like you really need to commit to the applause part too, because I did it wrong earlier. It's sort of like when you're learning a language and then you try to use the language. It's exactly like when you're learning a language and then you try to use a language and then you're a little bit timid about it and you do it wrong. So when I tried to applaud earlier, I did it more like that, which is more like meh. So really commit to it. It's mine.
That'll be the end of this Q&A. Yeah, how was it? That was a sign language Freudian slip.
So we're gonna get some questions going soon. Nobody's standing up for that. We got one guy for a question. Go line up, guys. But before we do, speaking to your point, have you ever, especially in the early days, did you go into an empty room or like a panel where there wasn't a lot of people there to listen to you and think, I have made some terrible choices in my life?
Yes.
Usually, when I enter an empty room with that feeling, it's my bathroom at home.
Gross.
And oddly, it's like 3 times a day. I just look in that mirror and go, I really made some bad choices in my life. No, but there's never been a time where I've been like, oh my God, why am I even here? That type of thing. And you know, when we have people and fans like this that are really committed to the kind of, are you even supposed to be here today kind of thing thrown at me, or poor Marilyn Gigliotti, who smells like shoe polish, or try not to suck any dick on the way through the parking lot. I always wait a little bit to let the interpreter catch up to that one. Because I was like, how do we do suck a dick in the parking lot? Oh, right.
I'll show you, let's go. It's easy, I do it all the time.
But yeah,
it's pretty much the same as doing it anywhere else.
I mean, poor Trevor gets, sorry, Jesus. Yeah. All sorts of stuff. So it's fun. It's pillow pants. It's all sorts of things. And over the years, and we're glad. And if anything, come the fall, you'll be screaming all new phrases at us. That's our wish. That's our wish. Most likely, we're going to see you in 7 months. I want my money back, you fucker!
I mean, that's a catchphrase. Yeah.
I want to see you fucker. I'm sorry.
I've done a lot of these events, and I've been on stage with a lot of interpreters, and there's some interesting ones that come out of it. So I would actually say that that is the least offensive thing that I've seen signed on stage.
Wait till I start talking about donkey shows.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and take an audience question. Hi, right up front. Hey, lean in. That's all right. Project. Diaphragm. What's your question? We'll hear you.
If movies had a meal based on your characters, what would each one be?
Jeff.
Mine would be a milkshake called the Jizz Mopper. I don't think it would be popular.
Guarantee you, Kevin is just what? That's shit. I don't know. I would say like probably a hot spicy sandwich would be the Dante's Inferno or something. Okay, a good one.
I don't know, something flavored with tears and jizz.
Don't you? Isn't there?
It would be onion rings.
I was to say, wouldn't it be the onion
Onion
rings?
rings, yeah. Onion
One
rings.
ring to rule them all.
Yeah, with the tears of religious shame.
With some
That's a sauce.
Yeah, with some sorry Jesus sauce.
Now I'm hungry. I'll pass.
That's right.
Hard pass.
This is one of the greatest thing about our fans. So one of our fans is here from Canada. Round of applause for Canada. She is staying at a hostel. That's right, they still exist. And she bought the onion rings a couple of days ago at the pop-up over near Icon Park. And so she has a hostel. You share a room with other people, and the other roommates are like, what smells in this room? Because she has this bag of cold onion rings. So when she did her photo op today with
They're
us,
like, I'll throw that away for you.
she gave Trevor an onion ring. She held an onion ring, and we did the photo op holding the onion rings.
I have to say that onion ring was remarkably intact for being 48 hours old. Alarmingly, one might say.
That's what happens with polysaturated fat, man.
That's what happens when you buy shit at movies.
Wait until she shits that onion ring. Comes right out the same way.
Oh, the poor interpreter.
No offense to hostels, but I would say a hostel smelling like old onion rings is sort of what I would expect at a hostel.
It's like an air wick there. It's an air freshener. Would you like a movie's onion smell?
Just hang them up when you leave. They're like air fresheners.
Hi, question.
So we all love the movies, but I think we all also really love the cartoon show, the animated series.
Yes.
Now, if in some way it was able to ever come back, we would obviously want to include Elias. So, would you rather the animated series be between the first and second movie, or the second and the third movie? What do you think would be more interesting to play with?
I mean, well, why the fuck are we limiting ourselves between movies? We can go all the way up to before the third movie comes out, and maybe even afterwards.
I think we should do like an Into the Clerks-verse type situation.
Yeah.
Where there's a pig Elias from outer space, and he hits people with a hammer, etc.
Spider Elias.
All right.
Does that answer your question?
Do you have a thought on that? No. There you go. Hi.
Hello, I'm a Tampa native, so this is a question for Mr. Brian in the Rangers jersey. You're on a breakaway. Who would you honestly rather face, Igor Shesterkin or Andrei Vasilevsky?
If I'm on the ice?
Yeah, you're on the breakaway.
Okay, if I'm on the breakaway, something's horribly gone wrong with the NHL. The world has gone mad. Obviously, there's been a nuclear war, and we're fending for ourselves.
This is the weirdest Clerks versus of all.
If I'm shooting against one of those goalies, it's Vasilevsky because, he's eventually going to choke it as well. So, from what I've heard. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't matter. They're both great. I mean, he's won the cup a few times now, so the big credit to him. Our guy is just starting out. He's an up-and-coming, hopefully a Vezina winner by the end of this season. So we'll see. That's why we're playing these out. The Battle of Florida is going on. We'll meet the winners of that, I'm sure. The Rangers are doing exactly what we love to do, is make people think they have hope because we let them win, and then we come back and piss on your graves. No. Sorry, Sidney Crosby, but that's how it works. So I look forward to seeing how the season goes, but good luck, man. Good luck.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Hey.
All right, guys. I love to collect different cocktails, and I would like to know what your favorite drink of choice is.
Mine would be a milkshake called the Jizz Mopper.
I knew it. I knew you were going to go.
Just
there.
lobbed me a softball.
As soon as you said, I'm like, I'm not going to. This is all him on that one. I love a good bourbon, like sour or bourbon. Something with bourbon is always one of my choices I love to do.
I think I'm gonna go with the aviation.
Nice. All right, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we'll be. Hopefully, that's waiting for us on the side of the stage when we're done. Right?
Yeah, I know. And if there's not one,
Someone's writing all this down, right? Jizz Mopper.
I do not want a Jizz Mopper at my table, just to be clear.
Somebody's jerking off into a cup back there right now.
So, Michael Rooker always gets chocolate-covered pretzels handed to him at these cons. So literally on the Sunday afternoon when these shows end up, there's a pile of, chocolate-covered pretzels behind his table every time. He goes, who's going to eat some open bag of random fucking chocolate-covered pretzels at a con? It's a funny thing, like the onion ring. It's a funny prop, but I'm not eating your... Same thing, like imagine just some rando coming up to you like, I made you that Jizz Mopper you asked. As he's finishing tightening his belt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I work in a visual medium. I'm sorry.
Don't give them ideas.
You know this is now going to exist. You've brought this into our reality. Hi.
What's up, guys? I want to know more about you as people, and I'm curious, between making awesome, hilarious films, what sort of passions do you follow in your lives?
Wow. That's nice of you to ask.
Trevor, you start this way. What's the passions in your real world that you follow?
Besides my passion for sucking dicks in a parking lot.
You're just doing that for the interpreter now, I know.
It's for interpreter, holy shit. Okay, so I like cooking a lot. That's one of my main passions. I've been really interested in that. And I like playing music, and I like programming.
Computer programming.
No, programming like
Network,
Manchurian candidates to assassinate politicians.
Jeff, what's your passion?
Shit, I wish I had a passion. I do a little bit of art, so in my downtime, I'm usually working on some art stuff.
Painting?
He's not going to say it. He does amazing mosaics with glass and tile and stuff.
I hate when he says that because I think everybody pictures me sitting around a table with like 80-year-old women. Like, Barbara, can you pass me that glass? Thank you.
I said mosaics, not quilting.
Mosaics are an old lady thing.
Really?
Really?
No, it's not. Shit. Hostile crowd.
Jeff's like the light to me. Now I gotta get into needlepoint.
What about you, Brian?
Me, I like cooking, like Trevor does as well, but also...
Sucking dicks in the parking lot?
No, I told him I would not infringe on his hobbies.
And I thank you for that. That's my thing.
I get together with friends and we'll play poker or stuff like that. I also have friends I've reconnected, and we've been doing RPG online D&D-like games. It's a fantasy world kind of game, but through COVID, we reconnected after many years together, and now we have a regular Zoom online once a week kind of game. So that's been fun doing that again. It's got me back into walking these shows, like looking at dice and looking at different things in a whole new world, and just seeing.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
The fact that we're in Orlando, I get it. It's in our face every few days, every few minutes. But thank you.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi. This is mainly for Jeff and Brian, but we know that Kevin,
Well, then why don't I just go fuck myself?
No. I
hear there's a huge parking lot right ahead.
I'll be right back.
There's a follow-up part to the question that could apply to you. But for Jeff and Brian, we know Kevin, he pretty much, we know the story of maxing out credit cards and all that to make Clerks. Did you guys have any apprehensions being involved with that at all?
I still have apprehension.
And Trevor, you can say if you had any joining Clerks too.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the sound of me going fuck myself.
He said, do you have any apprehensions in doing Clerks 2?
No, I thought it was fun. I mean, I'm sorry for such a boring answer. I thought the script was really funny, and I was just like, let's do it. I was nervous I wouldn't do a good enough job. I guess that was an apprehension.
You did great.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't fishing for that, yes I was.
Well, I guess a question kind of tied to that. Well, you didn't answer yet, Brian, did you?
I didn't have any apprehensions. I was embittered that we weren't getting paid, but apprehensions, no. I mean, I went into it, I was doing theater at the time, so I went into it as if I was going to make sure I was off book to be off book when we started filming, so I learned it like I did a play, to know everything that wherever we were going to go with in filming that night, I was up and ready to go. And so that was the only thing I was nervous was like wasting any film, because it's not like in a rehearsal process or even a performance of a live audience, you can kind of stop and kind of gather yourself and continue. With film, like you just burned film that they just paid money for. And it's not like today where everything's digitally just go, it's just delete and redo it again. So.
I don't like the way you're framing that. Like I'm so bad at like I'll laugh all the time. Like I waste so many takes. I'm wondering how many like tens of thousands of dollars we all could have gotten paid more if I just like been a better actor.
Well, now that you've finally realized, this is your intervention.
Whips.
We want our money.
Sorry, not sorry.
Compare Kevin's directing style from the first one to where we are now. Like, yeah.
When we shot the first one, we were shooting on film, and we just had enough to make the movie. So if you did more than 1 or 2 takes, you were getting the hairy eyeball from Kevin. So he's relaxed a little bit. The budgets are a little bigger, and we're not shooting on film anymore. But he kind of he hasn't changed all that much. He makes a very laid-back, fun atmosphere. So it's kind of the same way. We just have more people now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this last film especially, we gathered around, they had gotten an Airbnb for him and his wife to stay at while we were filming. And so we'd go to his house and we were around this dining room table to rehearse Clerks 3. And there were some scenes that we just needed more tightening, and he was very open. He had his laptop open, and Trevor and myself and Jeff and Jay and Austin, who's also in the film, this other character, and we would go through rehearsals, and we'd help punch it up a bit, or he'd ask, what do you think about this? And he was more open to our suggestions. So the first film, Clerks, probably we were 98% of everything that was written was gonna be said. And sometimes he'd even give us a bit of a line reading on how he wanted it said, which as an actor, was the last thing you want to get from your director, is a line reading, because it makes you a parrot. But then this process for 3 was a lot more collaborative in certain spots, which was really great. So this time around, probably like 85% of it was Kevin and the rest was us. If you love it, it was totally that collaborative effort. If you hated it, fucking Kevin, man, I don't know what to do.
He's a real ball buster.
Guy is smoking too much weed.
Hey, Kevin Smith smokes weed?
I heard.
Hi, Trevor, although my eyes adore you, I have a question for Brian and Jeff.
You son of a bitch.
When you guys first started with Clerks, did you anticipate that you'd end up with all this? Like, is this what you anticipated? Or was it more like, okay, I'm doing this indie film, we'll see how it goes. Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, I like the fact that you said that you have all of this, implying that we now own you all. That's right,
one day, all this could be yours.
A random ballroom in Orlando.
In the Orlando Hilton.
I was so tired of paying for cons, I'm like, if I do this movie, I could probably get in to sign
Jeff, name 3 superheroes.
But did you anticipate this big of a fan base to where it's almost like a cult? Like, did you anticipate that?
Didn't anticipate it at all. Still find it incredibly funny to begin with. But what we've lived through the past 9 years, anything is possible these days. And it's great, though.
I think there were times on Clerks 3 where Brian, Kevin, and I would sort of look at each other and be like, what the hell? We had so many people working on it. It's mind-blowing, really.
Thank you. But in the fact also, like, we travel, like before COVID, I've done conventions in New Zealand, Australia, and in England and stuff. And the fan base, even worldwide, it definitely makes me sit back in that same bathroom and look at myself and go, I'm incredibly blessed though for the wrong choices that I've made.
You know do you know the classic Hollywood movie, The Butterfly Effect? It's like you make one little decision in agreeing to be in Clerks 2, and then in the future you have no arms or legs.
Because you got hit by a car in the parking lot.
Because
you were on your knees. I didn't see you.
Hard to see from down there.
Terrible. Terrible. Hey, howdy.
In Clerks and Clerks 2, what was your favorite scene to film?
Clerks 2, what famous scene?
I have no favorite scenes. Yeah, for me, it's I won't say it was my favorite scene, but like to me, being on Clerks 2 and watching them do the dance sequence for me was fun because it was like so far out there, and we had so many dancers, and they were choreographed. I was thrilled by their choreograph. They put in effort, but for me, that was it was just a surreal moment to be like, "There's going to be a dance scene in this." It was very random.
For me in Clerks 2, this is a deleted scene, but there was a scene where I was sucking a bunch of dicks in the parking lot. That's my favorite.
This is the sound of the horse that you're being.
Funny every time.
For me, in the first movie, I enjoyed shooting the hockey scene on the roof for the first movie. And as far as the second movie, it was the most fun I've had on set was the go-kart track scene, because we spent like all day at this go-kart track in Southern California in Orange County, and they had called lunch, and I was like, I'm good, I don't want to eat lunch, because I had been a while since I've actually been in a go-kart track, and so to have it all to myself. So I literally put on my sunglasses and just was going around the go-kart track while other people were eating lunch, and apparently someone told camera department to roll footage on me just going around the go-kart track. So if you watch the movie again, and there's a cut scene of just Dante with sunglasses on for a minute or two, or a split second, that was just footage of me being on lunch going like, I'm loving this! Top of the world, but still, like, Clerks 2, there were so many different things on the call sheet. One night it's like, it's the go-karts we're gonna be all day at, and the next thing it is, like 30 dancers out in the parking lot, you know, dancing a routine. The next thing is I'm on the roof of Rosario as she's dancing in front of me. And next thing I'm making out with Rosario. And it's like, hey, it's a donkey show, kids. And then I got to make out with the boss while he filmed me, and then I got paid for that shit.
You said the boss. You and Kevin made out?
No. Oh, shit.
The boss's wife, I think.
Yeah, the boss. That's right, the boss's wife. I did slip on that one, didn't I? What do you think I'm getting into Clerks 4, son?
Don't say Clerks 4.
What about the flip side of that question, like a scene or a day at work where when you think back on it, it brings back that old, like, either anxiety or something that you're going through, or the fact that you couldn't, like, maybe there was a scene that you had a difficult time landing, or just that awkwardness of something. Is there any moment like that if you think back to it, it's like, oh, that was a tough day?
I feel like the pillow pant scene took a while to dial it in, and it came up right, the way I remember it is like, we got it right up to the wire with it. Like I sensed that it was like important to try to get that scene right, and I remember it just didn't feel right until the day we shot it, and then I think it was Kevin's weird brainwave, he came over to me when we were rehearsing it, and he was like, as you're doing your lines, just imagine the music to The Shining. that was what sort of unlocked it for us.
For me, it's neither of the Clerks movies. It's actually Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. When Dante, yeah, give it a round. Great movie.
Or Dylan, you don't have to. You know, I don't let him pressure you.
I call that Kevin's Cannonball Run movie, where there's so many of these celebrity pop-up cameos, and they're on a road trip. But it's a scene where in the Planet of the Apes flashback scene that Jay has, that Dante is strapped to a vivisection table, the morgue, anyway, and he's being operated by chimps. And we had live chimps I was really strapped to a table, and they had the prosthetic of the open brain on me. Spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't seen it. And as the monkey's supposed to come in and like, you know, operate on my brain, and I'm supposed to scream, I'm not supposed to be here today. Things were getting a little hairy, and the monkeys were getting a little squirrely, and so they said cut. And it was because the special effects goo that they put on the brain was trailing after them after they would touch like webbing, and monkeys don't like stuff that like sticks to them and stuff, and they freak out. So they were like, oh, we gotta wipe that off, otherwise they get crazy, and then they'll chew your nose off and your fingers. And there was that lady in Connecticut. Yeah. So I was like, what the fuck? So they're all gathering. I'm still strapped to the table. The special effects guy's wiping off all the special effects goo off the brain. And he's kind of upset because now it looks like just latex on the head. And they were trying to figuring out. I'm sitting on the table, and finally I go, hey, does craft services have honey? And from the distance I hear the crafty guy go, yeah, we got honey. And I was like, would honey work? And the monkey wrangler was like, oh yeah, that should work. They love honey, actually. So next thing you know, this fucking squeezable bear is up. And they're spreading it on the brain, which the golden color actually adds more of a bloodier brain look to it. And they're like, all right, we're all set. Camera roll, sound roll, all right, here we go. We're gonna do this and see where we go with this, people. And I told the special effects guy, I said, look, if shit fucking gets squirrely, just jump on my head and cover my face. I'm gonna turtle my hands in, but just don't let them get the face. That's my moneymaker, man. Kidding, we all know it's my dick. Anyway. So they say action. So they say action. Next thing I know, I'm seeing from my perspective this chimp coming in, sniffing my brain, and then next thing you know, he totally licks the top of my brain as I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here today. Ah. We did a couple of takes, boom, done, over and out. I still to this day own the brain top. It's in a bag with like some goo or whatever, so just to preserve it.
So chimps don't like sticky substances?
Yeah, it's weirdness.
Yeah.
I guess they wouldn't want your milkshake.
Right.
What's your?
But it does bring the boys to the yard.
I guess for me it would be Zack and Miri, the shit scene. It wasn't so much the shit scene. Getting shit on was the best part of that scene. The worst part of that scene was laying on the floor with Jay's balls swinging right above me. And right when I got there in the morning, I said to Kevin, crank up the AC, don't let it get hot in here. Because those balls get closer and closer when those lights come on. So that was my scene.
Anybody else here find it weird he enjoyed the shitting part?
That was like a weird swinging above me. Although it was nice to get paid to watch Jay's balls swinging above me. That was once. A new twist.
All right. Where were we? I think over here. Hey.
So obviously it's a little more common in movies nowadays to get sequels so long after the fact where you get to come and revisit characters, but like you guys do a series that is so heavily tied to like character-driven stuff and relationship stuff. What's been the most interesting part of getting to come back like decades in between and revisiting these characters and like picking up their journey as they go along?
Jeff, you want to start that?
He was distracted.
You had one job, Jeff.
He was still thinking about Jay's balls.
Sorry to
zone out there.
Flashback.
Actually, it was a great day.
Good times.
Besides Jay's balls swinging in your face, what's the most interesting part of coming back and getting to revisit your characters and develop them more?
So a third time.
Jay's balls? Is that Jesus Christ.
What's the satisfying part about?
Yeah, the satisfying coming back playing these parts years ago.
Fuck, there's nothing satisfying about it. That's my answer.
All right, asked and answered. Great job, Jeff.
Your Honor, I represent a hostile witness.
Your Honor. I thought it was interesting to, well, first of all, I thought it was interesting to not, just personally, to not be involved in show business for like a long time and then do it again. That was like kind of an eye-opening, I don't know, you see it with a fresh pair of eyes, so that was kind of interesting. But on like a broader level, I think that the way that the 3 movies, and you'll have to wait to see the third one, obviously, but just the way that they reflect Kevin's life and like where he's at that kind of moment in his life. I just think that's a cool little triptych for him to have, and it was cool. It was an interesting honor to be a part of it. Somebody to tell his own. It's a very personal story that he tells in these movies.
It was weird. Go ahead.
Somebody wants to be in Clerks 4. Kevin's not here today. You don't have to.
Oh, then scratch everything I said.
It's just weird being in that same space because the majority of Clerks 3 takes place in the original store again, and so, I joked with Kevin. I was like, could you imagine if all of a sudden, in '93 as we're filming the original, some fucking portal opens up and it's us right now going like, listen, you gotta get this right because otherwise the whole future's gone, Marty.
The Clerks-averse strikes again.
Jeff, you might want to rethink those acid-washed jeans.
You're not even supposed to be here today on your tombstone. And Jay, you're gonna be the biggest hit of the whole fucking movie. Bye. They'll be like, what? Who was fucking the dude with the light around him? That was you, dude. Dude, I've gotten old. I'll call a show after it. Jay and Bob Get Old. Hey there. By the way, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Get your tickets now, folks.
How's it going, guys? 2 questions. The first one for Brian, the second one for all 3. Brian, did Trevor and Jeff told you the joke that I told them?
Did you?
Let's not revisit this.
It's a good joke, come on.
All right, we'll let the audience be the judge, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Why did the Jedi cross the road?
Why did the Jedi cross the road?
To get to the dark side.
To get to the dark side, ladies and gentlemen, to get to the dark side, you'll be seeing him. He's going to be headlining the parking lot later this evening, where there's a sideshow with Trevor.
All right.
I was told that.
I appreciate that.
Second question. The multiverse is the latest fad.
There was no first question. Oh, it was, did you tell him the joke?
Yeah. Second question.
The multiverse is the latest fad on the movies. And I was wondering what the multiverse will be on Clerks. What will you be? Will you be Dante, Randall? Or will you be a female Randall, a female Brian? I don't know.
What would be a multiverse for the viewers universe is what I think you're saying here.
For Clerks, yes.
I don't know. I think it'd be funny if Jay and Bob took over the roles of Dante and Randall took over the roles of Jay and Bob. I think that would be funny. I think you would be the one that would be, you would be the Jay of that scenario. I would be the silent Dante, so to speak.
I think it'd be funny if there was an evil Elias with an eye patch and a goatee. And he was like a Lex Luthor billionaire who just tormented all the people of Leonardo.
Who owned the movies.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the question and the follow-up and the joke.
For me, I'd like to bring Dante lasagna.
Aww.
That's beautiful.
Hey there.
Hey. So, I'm from New Jersey, and I wanted.
What exit?
Well, what I wanted to ask you guys, I'm around the same age as all you guys too. So, I followed all the movies for us in Jersey. It's huge. They take place in places in Jersey, in the malls in Jersey, and so forth.
We get it. You're the governor of Jersey.
You got it. So, I don't know. My question is, first off, I didn't know if all you guys were from New Jersey. I know that Kevin Smith is and so forth. I didn't know if all you guys were from Jersey. And you just got me now. Now I can't.
You showed up strong with the Jersey content, though.
I got nothing left. Yeah.
All right, so are we from Jersey? All right, here we go.
I love questions that everyone in the audience can relate to.
Jeff?
I was from Jersey.
Elias?
I am not from New Jersey.
There we go. I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York City, to the age of 10. And then my father was sick and tired of the Cross Bronx Expressway going to work in Jersey, so it was like, we're moving to Jersey. We moved to Palisade Park, New Jersey, northern Jersey for 4 years, right on, Bergen County, high taxes. Woo, the highest
Weird
taxes
thing to
in the
woo,
world.
but all right.
And then moved to Central Jersey, Old Bridge, for the rest of my young adult life. Thank you. Moved back to New York City for 7 years, traveled around, and now I'm in Pennsylvania because of high taxes. All right.
And I got a joke. No, I'm just
Thank you. Is there no one's at that microphone? All right, let's stick over here. Yeah.
Hi. So, out of all the scenes that you have filmed, what was the hardest one to get through for each of you because you kept breaking and laughing throughout?
What scene did we have a tough time because we broke a lot of times? I assume laughing or crying or just couldn't hold our breath.
Some call it planking.
Planking. Jeff?
I think it was probably in Clerks 1, the fight scene that we had. Brian and I at some point were there, we fought, there was like candy and stuff all over the ground, and the woman who owns the store came in. And she wasn't happy about the disarray of the store. And she actually made us write down all the candy that we ruined because Kevin had to pay for it. I thought that was odd.
I told you about the monkey one was kind of difficult just because I feared for my face. But as far as like difficult to get through and stuff like that, it's tough. I try to be prepared as much as possible, and I enjoy. That's the thing about Kevin's shoots. It's not like we're in front of a giant green screen, and that's where the villain is flying in his spaceship. It's like it's all legit, right? It's words. It's us talking in very small spaces, and it's a lot of joy, and so. There's a lot of times where we're cracking up, where we just bust out laughing, and that's where our rehearsal process comes in, where we get out all the giggles now, because when it comes time to film, Trevor, we can't keep laughing.
It's fair. It's fair. Nobody is.
There's been many times where we are in a stride of a scene, and then Trevor starts laughing.
That's right.
So.
Yeah, no, my answer to your question is all of them. I'm such a annoying Jimmy Fallon, just unprofessional.
Oh my God, yes, you are the fucking Jimmy Fallon of our group.
You take that back, you son of a bitch.
No, you take that as a badge of honor. Look where that
No,
goes.
I certainly don't. Anyway, but the one that comes to my mind, the worst one possibly that I've ever had, and that's really saying something, wasn't in Clerks 2, it was in my movie, that I call it my movie. Jeff merely wrote and directed and starred in it and produced it and all that stuff. We did a movie together called Now You Know, and there's a scene in it where the plot of the movie is there's an engagement, it gets broken off, but we're throwing him a bachelor party anyway. And there's the scene where Jeff and I are like planning out a bachelor party for our friend, and we're just inhaling helium balloons. And there's no jokes in the scene at all. We're just like, it's just a conversation about the logistics of a bachelor party. But we have helium voices. And because I'm an idiot and a child, I couldn't stop laughing at this. And it got to the point where we only had like 1 tank of helium on the set that day, because of course, when Jeff was like figuring out the budget, he was like, surely 1 tank of helium will be enough. And I'd ruined so many takes that Jeff came up to me and he was like, look, Trevor, I don't want to put any undue pressure on you, but if you laugh one more time in this scene, we're going to have to cut it because we're like out of helium. And yeah, that happened. Sorry about that, Jeff.
I'm sorry about casting you. I was only kidding.
Yeah, so I know there was an earlier version of the script for Clerks 3 that did not get made. Can you talk about what that was like and what maybe you didn't like about it?
It was dark. It was a dark script. It didn't feel like it belonged in the Clerks world. It was an interesting script. In hindsight, we didn't do it, and I think Kevin, in hindsight, has said that he's glad he didn't do it because it was a really dark, kind of strange script.
Yeah, it took a lot of real world issues and put it in the View Askew world that just quite didn't feel right. What we did with that script was Kevin donated 2 readings of that script for the First Avenue Playhouse, which is a community theater in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, for them to upgrade their lighting and sound system. So We sold tickets for it. I was part of the reading for 2 nights, and it was a really interesting script because it was so dark. But the one thing that came out of it, though, any of the laughter that happened during the read of it, like Kevin took note of it. And so anything that was very good and funny that resonated with the fans and the original kind of Clerks kind of feel, he kept for what eventually became the one that we just shot last year of Clerks 3. So he pulled out what was the necessity of realism that was unnecessary for Clerks 3 and kept the core of what Clerks is about. So in a way, it's like workshopping any script. Sometimes, I mean, it took like 10 years for like Forrest Gump to be shopped around, where finally Zemeckis is like, I'm gonna do it, we're gonna do it this way. That's the kind of thing with this one. I think Kevin went through his life and then he had his heart attack, and that kind of, once he got his life back in order and he made the reboot movie, he was like, you know what, I wanna play with these characters again, and this was a much better way of doing it. So I'm glad we did it, but we'll see what happens. He's always talked about maybe doing something with that script, like as a graphic novel or alternate metaverse kind of dark.
Yeah, I always liked that script a lot. I loved it from the moment I read it. I kind of like dark humor in general, and I thought it was good. Definitely a shift in tone, but cool. And I'd like to believe that somewhere in the web of the Clerksiverse that exists.
But in all fairness, I can tell, I mean, Trevor really liked it because Elias had an eye patch and a goatee.
Right. And he sucked a lot of dicks in a parking lot.
Okay, so we are kind of running out of time, but let's get through these final 3 questions, all right? Just keep it concise.
Yep.
Hi.
Jeff and Brian, since you were with since you were with Kevin in the trenches at the very beginning of everything, on the later movies, is there anything that you get away with because you have such a familiarity with him from the earliest times that surprises people in the crew or anything like that?
So is there something from the earlier films that I'm surprised about?
No, like when since you were doing the first movie, you were in the trenches when Kevin was just starting out, didn't have a career. Like when you're working on the later movies, do you guys, because you have a familiarity with him, do you get away with anything that surprises other people on the crew? Like who didn't work with him?
Like they go up behind Kevin and just flick his ear and they're like, what do you do, nerd?
Because we've known Kevin from the very beginning of work, is there anything that we get away with that would surprise other people?
Any leeway? Yeah.
Like curse him out in front of his crew. That's always a helpful thing. No, there's nothing that we get away with. It's just that, you know, we stay in contact with them more. Like literally, we were doing photo ops. Like tomorrow, there's a group of all of us with Kevin and Jay photo ops on still by the people. Anyway, while we're waiting for the things to go on, he's like, come here. And he's showing us like 15 to 20 of the poster ideas for what Clerks 3 is. By the way, all of them are awesome. And then here's a person who hates the look of himself, and I was like, this is awesome. So it's that type of thing where, you know, that's kind of cool that he's not going to call up every crew member from the thing like, this is what we're doing. So that's kind of fun that we've been able to stay in touch all these years. And the fact that every once in a while he'll email me or call me up going, hey, I want you to do this, whatever. And I've always said, like, look, he can say, I want you to meet me at the 42nd Street subway station platform and we're going to do a scene with such and such. I'm like, I'm there. And then go there and it's a guy with a bucket. Those guys with the drums and stuff.
So that was you.
Yeah. Got to make that side hustle.
Thanks.
Thank God that bucket was drums. I didn't know where you were going with that.
I'm not stealing his gig. Hey.
Brian, bud.
God?
Yeah, exactly. I know I've made some bad choices in life. I say it to you in the mirror every day.
It's too late, Brian. It's too late. You're going to hell.
A while ago, you worked with a couple film colleagues of mine, Jason Robbins and Wally Phelps, on Monsters Anonymous. And just could you talk about working with those guys and your part in it, and if these guys saw that picture?
Sure. He had a film acting school down in Mississippi, and I was down at Pensacon, and he had contacted me about doing a short film called Monsters Anonymous. It's a very cute film. You can watch it. It's 22 minutes on YouTube. And it's about all the classic Universal monsters, Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, the Mummy, and they're all in therapy. And it's a therapy session because nobody finds them scary anymore. It's all about zombies and guys who cut people into pieces and stuff like that. It's a very cute short film. I play Dracula in the film. It's written and directed by Jeremy London, and its first AD was his brother, Jason. And so Jason, who plays the devil in it, is fantastic in it as well. Not Jeremy's brother, but Jason
Statham.
Robbins, right, thank you. And it's so cute. So yes, please support the monsters. Go watch Monsters Anonymous on YouTube. It's a cute little 20-minute flick.
Cool. This is going to be the final question. Hi.
I'm going to end it off strong and ask if the three of you can give us a little excerpt of one of the scenes in the movie that involves the three of you.
The new movie? Or
no, Clerks 2.
Oh, so this is where I want to be a little bit of a bad cop, because I always hate when people try to make the actors perform on stage, you know, because they're not monkeys. Some of them have had their heads licked by monkeys, I guess. But
I mean, I'll do it. I don't give it like, you know, I'll suck there. I have no pride. I don't care.
You should have been at the last show in St. Louis.
What's that?
Like the Optimus Prime scene, just like a little.
I would totally do it. I just don't remember the fucking lines. Do you?
Yeah, it's kind of like alt control delete sometimes after these movies where we just reboot in our heads because we have another movie we got to learn. But as far as like, you know, replaying a scene and stuff, it's tough. It's so funny. Kevin was talking to us. We had a big stash bash at his store a couple of weekends ago in New Jersey, and Kevin was talking about how people are approaching him about doing a musical of the original Clerks, and also like just a regular play of the regular Clerks. And it was just so funny to think that they're gonna, I mean, a play, I get it, it's a one location, it's the store and a video store at most, but it was just so funny to think that people like are gonna be saying things like, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Or what did I tell you about dealing in front of my store? Why can't I get to my hockey game? By the way, there's no song like this at all. But it's that type of stuff that I just find hilarious.
Can I give her a, that's bestiality, Randall?
There you go.
With that.
All right. You stood at the mic after I said we were out of time.
You must.
Ask your question
What's
quick.
Your question?
Ask it.
I love Clerks, the animated series. What are the chances that Clerks 3 will lead to another Clerks animated series, including Elias?
Very, very good question and important question. She asked who's a fan of the cartoon series? I'm going to tell you guys because we're friends. There is a possibility that we could do the cartoon again. But here's the thing.
There was a gasp.
That's true. But here's the thing. The producers who are willing to step in to do that are waiting to see what the actual attendance for Clerks 3 in theaters is going to be. And this is no shill I'm trying to get you to go to theater. This is a true thing. The other thing that's hinging on actual attendance and spending money in theaters is Mallrats 2. So, you got to get off your asses. Don't wait for the streaming. Go to it. If you went and saw the Jay and Silent Bob Reboot Roadshow, where we went out to the road, we're going to do the same thing again with Clerks 3, and then a wider release afterwards. But do it. Do that way of doing it, because then producers are like, oh, I guess people still care about Kevin Smith and his bullshit films. But since we're friends, we know it's not bullshit. But it will fund the cartoon series and a Clerks 2 and stuff like that, because then be like, all right, well, we want to hear more of these type of stories. So that's what we want to do. We want to get out to theaters in the fall. Once we start dropping the trailers, you're going to want to see it anyway. Thank you guys so much for coming out for this.
Thank you.
We're here all weekend. Come to our tables, buy some stuff. We can talk to you all day. We maybe even react some scenes there. Good to see you. Good to see everybody here. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, MEGACON.